Yo, what is poppin' people? It's your boy Out of Order, and in this video, I'll be showing you everything you need to know about IW3MVM. So in this guide, I'll be teaching you how to set up your COD4 for IW3MVM, how to install bot mods, how to get better in custom death animations, how to install skyboxes, and of course, how to record and edit demos. So without further ado, guys, let's get right on into the video. So over here, I got everything we'll need to edit. So here's my COD4 tutorial. As you can see, I got a few mods and stuff in here. So for this tutorial, you're gonna need to get COD4 off of Steam, so you're either going to need to buy it or get a key for it. I bought my COD4 years ago, so here's the installation for it. As you guys can see, I got every folder and every file in here. So there are a few things you'll need to do before you can actually start editing it. The first thing you'll need to do, which is probably the most important thing to do, is you're going to need to get 1.7 COD4. So I'll leave a download link in the description down below to download it, and it's basically just this executable file right here. So as you can see, we got IW3MP. Now what this essentially is an older version of COD4 because the newer versions just don't work with some of the stuff. So you're gonna need to download that, and all you gotta do is just drag and drop or copy and paste it in here, which I already did. So as you can see, this is IW3MP. It's the same one as this one. Basically, it's the 1.7 version. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you have COD4X installed, which some servers will download COD4X and sometimes you'll like enable it or whatever the case may be, you don't want to use COD4X. COD4X is essentially just like an IW4X wannabe, but it's pretty unstable. It doesn't really work with IW3MVM, so just make sure you don't use the COD4X version. The next thing we're going to do for this tutorial is we're going to install the bot mod. So I'm going to leave a link down in the description as well for the bot mod, which is made by Azuri. This is the main bot mod people use. There's like 3 other different bot mods. There's like Pez bots. I think Pro Mod has bots as well, but I like using this bot mod the most simply because I feel like it's the easiest. And also Pez bot is kind of a pain in the ass to install sometimes, so we're just going to use Azuri's bot mod, which is right here. Everything I'm telling you to download, I already have downloaded in this folder right here, which is this thing right here. So for bot mod, it's really simple to install mods. All you got to do is go to your COD4 installation. And as you can see, these are all the mods I have. There's like a ton of different mods here. So all you really got to do is just drag it in here and install. And if you want to combine bot mod with other mods, you can use Jimzor's make mod 2 script, which I'll be talking about later in this video. So just make sure to install bot mod by putting in your folder, which I already did right here. There it is right there. There's dummies, which is the bot mod, and that's what we're going to be using for this video. So now that things are starting to get set up for now, let's just launch up the game to see if everything works. So I'm just going to go to COD4 multiplayer, and it should automatically use the IW3MP exe right here. So as you can see, COD4 is going to launch up, and I already got Reshade installed, but I'll be running you through the process of installing Reshade later in this video. So COD4 is finally loaded now. We're pretty much ready to get things going. You might get a warning that says something about Punk Buster. Just feel free to ignore it. It's not that important. But what you're going to want to do now is you're going to want to go into your options, graphics, and make sure anti-aliasing is turned off. I'll be talking about this later as well. It basically fucks up your Reshade and a bunch of other shit. Just make sure anti-aliasing is turned off. Also, if you're going to be recording clips using something like Avidemo or streams, which is essentially the green screens and depth stuff, you're going to want to make the video mode 1440p or lower. The reason I say this is because if you try recording in native 4K, your streams or your frames are just basically going to drop. It happens with Avidemo and streams as well. So 1440p is pretty much the maximum you can record at without dropping frames. There's other ways around it, but they're kind of weird and don't always work all the time. And if you want to get 4K, honestly, you can just upscale it. But I don't think this will affect most people, so with that out of the way, we'll just make sure that anti-aliasing is turned off. These settings don't really matter too much. You can do texture, whatever, you know. But if we go over here to mods, you should see we got all the mods here. This is my custom mod I made. There's a bunch of other stuff. We got out of OO, out of Ubu, some other random shit. But dummies is the bot mod we just installed. So you can just launch up dummies to test it out. So once your mod is now loaded, you should notice your COD4 screen is kind of blue right now. And what you're going to want to do now is just test out the mod, which you don't have to test it out, but I'm going to be doing it just for this video. So to actually launch up a game, you're going to want to open up your console, and if you don't have your console enabled, just go to game options and make sure enable console is checked. And once you got the console enabled, just type the tilde or grave key or the little squiggly line shit. To load a game, you could just type dev map, and then just the map ID. I'll have a paste bin down below, or like a link down below, that'll have all the dev maps for every single map. But this is kind of a weird thing that I do. I use an Elgato Stream Deck that has pretty much every dev map laid out for me, so I can just like, I don't know, just click one of these buttons. Oh, it already has dev map on it, but I can just click something like, I don't know, dev map MP bog, and it'll load. But what you'll do is just do /dev map space and then the map ID, which will be in the description. All right, so here we are in a dev map. As you guys can see, I already spawned a bot, but to spawn a bot, it's really simple. You just aim down sight, press F, and a bot should spawn. So now that we know the mod's working, we can move on to the next step. So the next thing that I'll be showing you how to do is how to install Crummy's death animation mod, which essentially just makes them have really cool death animations, as you guys can see. So let's get right into that. So I'm just gonna quit the game using /quit on the console. So for Crummy's death mod, it's really simple. You're just gonna want to click on the link in the description down below, and you should see it's right here, COD4 better anims. This basically just has the death animations from like MW2, BO1, and like MW3, and some other cool shit. Basically just good animations, so you don't got the, you know, the ugly weird ones. So to install it, you just want to go to releases over here, and then just click on the better anim zip right over here. I already have it downloaded. Wait, no, I actually don't have it downloaded. So I'll just download it real quick over here. It's just basically just gonna save it, and then you just drag it over here. And to install it, it's pretty simple. You're just going to want to extract it. So once you have it extracted, the next thing you're going to do is go into COD4 better anims. Just go in this folder. You'll see a little script called make mod v2. It's made by Jimzors. It's really simple to use. All you got to do is just press 1 on your keyboard, hit enter, and then you just drag the mod into here. Once you do that, you can just hit enter again. And then it'll just say done. You can close this window, and that's pretty much it. So as you can see, this script will just make a bunch of stuff over here. It's really simple. All you got to do now is just Control-C them, and then go into Zone, English, and then in the English folder, you just paste it in here. I've already got them in here, but it's an older version, so we'll just install this newer version right over here. And once you do that, you're pretty much good to go. The mod should be installed. Another thing is that you can also use that make mod v2 for installing and combining other mods. It's a really useful script. Honestly, this thing is really underrated. The old way of doing it was to open this like mod compiler thing, which some people still do. That's what I did for this mod over here. All these out of orders, out of OWO, out of UWU mods, they're all that mod compiler, but that shit's a pain in the ass, and I'll probably need to make a whole nother tutorial for it. But yeah, I recommend using the make mod v2 to make the mods if you're trying to like combine them and get them into shit. So it's really useful. And the next thing I'm going to show you here is how to install custom textures or skyboxes or whatever. So the main mod I usually use is the out of UWU mod or the out of order mod. Or the one that I've been using now is actually editing mod. So it's really simple, and I'll leave a link down below to CFG Factory. I wouldn't recommend using that site for configs, but if you are looking for custom textures and other cool stuff, go to CFG Factory. So if you find something you like on CFG Factory, it's really easy to install. Most of the stuff are IWD files, and here's some stuff I made. So as you can see, we got my gloves that I made, we got my skybox that I made. They're not really that good, but it's whatever. The gloves won't even show up because I'm using the Modern Warfare remastered textures instead. But anyway, so to install textures and mods, it's really simple. You just want to find your main mod that you'll be using. So if you're using dummies from this tutorial, the bot mod, all you would really do is just, you know, let's go to order mods. You would just drag it in here, and it should automatically load. If for whatever reason your texture is not loading when you just drag it in here like this, for some reason if it just doesn't load or whatever, you can just simply make an images folder, just put in images, and then if it's an IWI file, you can just drag it in here, or you can make an IWD file, which is kind of like, you can make them with 7-zip and stuff, but yeah, you could just make an IWD file like the one I have over here. Like, notice how this is an IWD. IWDs are essentially just like, they're like zipped files, but for like Infinity Wars. So if I open this, you'll see we got a bunch of stuff in here. This mod I didn't make. This is the no icons mod. So if you don't want those like ugly icons and shit, like, you know, like the little kill icons, you can use that one. But this is the one I made. This is just a simple skybox thingy. And you'll notice these are all IWIs. IWIs are images, and then IWDs are like the compressed folders, basically. So if for some reason your IWDs don't load, you can just make an images folder like this, and then just drag the IWI in there. Now, the last thing we need to do before we can actually start editing, this one is entirely optional, but we're gonna get Reshade. What Reshade essentially is it just allows you to like modify the game's look. So you can add depth of field, fog, and other cool stuff like that. You can can even color grade in it, but I really wouldn't recommend that. And earlier in the video, I mentioned that you want to disable anti-aliasing, and the reason is because Reshade just doesn't like anti-aliasing, and this goes for pretty much every game. Sometimes, for some reasons, your anti-aliasing will turn back on. Sometimes it'll just randomly come back on and it'll fuck everything up. It's really simple. All you gotta do is go into your COD4, go to Players, Profiles, and you'll see your name over here, and then config MP. Now I'll put a screenshot on screen of exactly what to do. This is a message by Jimzors, and this is the method he does, which I think is pretty useful, and you guys should try it out as well. But yeah, you just want to get this config MP, and make sure you change the settings that are on screen right here on that screenshot. And then of course you can make the bat file script, so basically if you want to run it with or without. And this makes everything a whole lot easier and a whole lot more useful. So if you're having trouble with your anti-aliasing, or if your anti-aliasing is just being an asshole, you can just make it read-only, you're good to go. So now that we have our anti-aliasing issue fixed, the next thing we're gonna do is install Reshade. So over here, I have Reshade set up. This is a really older version. Run the setup, and then over here, select game. You're gonna want to select your game, which is, I have it on World at War right there for some reason. But you're going to want to select your IW3MP. I already have it installed, so I'm not going to do it. And it'll ask you what version. It'll be like DirectX 9, DirectX 10, 12, Vulkan, OpenGL, or some other bullshit. And for that, you want to make sure you use Direct 9. Make sure it's 9, alright? Don't do 10, don't do Vulkan, or whatever the hell it asks you. Make sure it's 9. And I recommend just downloading every single effect except for the legacy ones. I have a bunch of custom Reshade stuff that I bought or downloaded or just found on the internet. So now that everything's out of the way, now that we got anti-aliasing fixed, we got Reshade installed, we got our mod installed, we got everything good to go. Now it's time to actually edit the game. So we're gonna go to COD4 over here. I'm just gonna launch the multiplayer, and yeah, we'll just wait for it to load. So my COD4 finally loaded up here. As you can see, we get this stupid punk buster error. Doesn't mean anything, but now we're gonna go to mods, and we're gonna load the mod we just have, which is, if you're following the tutorial, if this is your first time editing, you'll probably be using dummies. But I'm gonna be using my other mods over here. So as you can see, I've made too many mods. Most of them are buggy and don't even work. But I'm not gonna go into detail on modding because it's kind of a pain in the ass sometimes. So I'm just gonna use the editing mod. This one has dummies built into this one, so it'll pretty much be the same thing. You can still follow along. It's just more stuff on it. Okay, guys. So my COD4 finally loaded with the mod. As you guys can see, we got everything working and good to go. And if you press the home key, you should notice that you should have Reshade installed. Now, Reshade is pretty simple to use. I'll run over this more while we're in game. These are the main stuff I use: MXAO, SMAA. Cinematic DOF, I usually don't really use that often. I'm more of an ADOF guy. I guess I have Cinematic DOF enabled. Yeah, so this is basically everything over here. So another thing is I recommend binding the effect toggle key over here. If you just go over to your home key and then settings, you should notice right over here, effect toggle. I recommend doing F7, or what do I recommend it? Nah, do whatever key you want to use. I personally use F7. I do it for every game, but yeah. So now that we know Reshade opens up and we got the mod and everything loaded, let's actually record a demo and edit it. So to record a demo, we're gonna go back to dev map, and you can use any demos too. I'll show you how to install other players' demos, so if you find a frag show you like or want to edit someone else's clips, you can do that as well. For demos, basically the same demos you record and other people's demos will go in the exact same folder. So as you guys can see, we're in COD4, so let's test things out. So I'm just gonna hit a basic clip over here. Alright guys, so I'm back with the recording. As you guys can see, I'm on a different map. I kind of had some technical difficulties with COD4. One of the commands wasn't working, so I'm gonna be showing you basically what happened and basically how to fix it, and we'll continue with where we left off. So before, I told you to spawn a bot far away from the action so that when you kill him, he doesn't respawn right away and ruin the frag. But I realized that the move command, the CL move command that I was gonna show you in that part, it doesn't work on some versions of the mod. It only works on certain versions. So like the mod I have, the one that I'm using right now, has it, but for most of you guys watching this video, you won't have that command. And compiling GSCs and other scripts and mods and stuff is kind of a pain in the ass, so I'll do that in another tutorial. But I'm gonna be showing you a different way of doing it that'll still work out fine. So what we're gonna do is, instead of spawning the bot far away from the action, we're gonna spawn the bot like where we want to actually shoot him. So I guess we'll hit our clip right over here. So we'll spawn a bot over here like that, and then I guess we'll spawn another bot over here. So before, what I was telling you to do was go really far, like, you know, back there or something, spawn the bot, then use a move command to move them to the action so that when you kill them, they spawn over there instead. But I realized basically that's only on certain mods, so yeah, forget that whole thing. So basically what you're going to want to do instead of doing the move command is you're going to want to open up the console, type G_game type, and you should notice it'll autofill to whatever game type you're on. If you're doing dev map, it'll probably say war. So as you guys can see right here, it says war. So that's what we're going to want to do. We're going to want to increase the respawn delay for the war game type. If it says something else, you'll just do that instead. So instead of entering war, you'll enter whatever it says. So now that we know that our game type is war, the next thing we're going to do is open up our console. So we'll type in /scr_war player respawn, and as you can see, it'll cut off to del. That's basically short for delay, so you'll want to type delay out, and then you're gonna want to enter something high. So I did 100 for this case. So basically it'll basically add a delay, so when you kill them, they're not just gonna respawn right away. Usually I would do the move command of spawning them far away and move them over here, but like I said, your mod that you download probably won't have that command. So instead of that, we'll just do this, and once you got the bots positioned, now it's time to actually hit our clip. So to hit our clip, obviously we're gonna need a gun, and as you guys can see, we probably don't have them unlocked since this is a dev map, but you can just simply use give commands as if it was like Minecraft. So I got my Elgato Stream Deck pretty much already set up, so I'm just gonna do give Remington 700 MP, and as you can see, it'll give me a Remington. I'll have that command in the description down below. And the mod that I'm using in this one has a modified deagle, so as you guys can see, we got a different deagle animation. You probably won't have this deagle animation since it doesn't really come with like the natural game, and like you gotta get it with mods and stuff, but I'm gonna be using it for this demo. So once we do the give command and get the weapons that we want, the next thing we're gonna do is do /give ammo, and it does exactly what it says. It just gives you ammo basically. So now that we got our guns, now that we got our ammo, now that we got the respawn delay up, now that we got our bots placed, we're ready to record. You know, you can fake this however you want. A lot of people don't really do this often, but I like doing this. Honestly, you could just go to no clip, you know, fly up here, hit a clip, fly over here, and do whatever you want. Honestly, just make the clip look cool. So now that we're ready to record, the next thing we're gonna do is do /record, and then it'll record a demo. So you're gonna want to enter the name for it. Just make sure there aren't any spaces. So I'll just call this tutorial. Wait, did I even spell that right? Whatever. We'll just call it tut. So I'm just gonna call it record tut, and then once you enter that, it should start recording. So now that that's recording, we're just gonna go over here, shoot him, go over here, shoot him. And as you can see, we got the custom death animations. They both died, and they both don't respawn right away, which is good, because if you don't do the delay, they're just gonna respawn right away. So now that we got our clip recorded, next thing we're gonna do is do /stop record, all one word. Once you do /stop record, your demo's now done recording. So yeah, now that they're dead, we can actually start the editing part. So I'm just going to do /disconnect to leave that. And if you're wondering where your demos are saved, for this one, I did the editing mod. So if we go over here, you'll see we got the crummy demo and we got the tut demo, which is the one I just recorded. So if you want to install custom demos, you would go to the mod you're using, go to the demos folder, and then just install it in there. But we're going to be using the one we just recorded, so yeah. So now that we got that done, the next thing we're going to do is go over here. I just installed it right over here. We got COD4 launcher, and you're just going to want to open it. Now, for some people, if you're using an antivirus software or even Windows Defender, it'll mark it as a virus. Don't worry, it's just a false positive. Once you got the thing loaded, you're just going to go over here, select IW3MVM because that's COD4, and all you got to do is click load. And as you can see, everything is working fine now. And it says it should work for COD4X. Don't really trust it. It kind of does work, but just don't use COD4X, alright? It's a pain in the ass. Whatever you do, never edit on COD4X. That's just my advice. But now that we got COD4 loaded, the next thing we're gonna do is go /demo and then enter the name of the one you recorded. So we recorded tut for tutorial, and yeah, let's just load it up. Okay, so as you guys can see, we're in our demo. If we go and press F2, we can go into third person. And the reason I told you to do the SVFPS earlier is if we go on timescale 0.1, you'll notice our movement is really smooth. If you have SVFPS at 20 or even higher, when I tried, I did 1,000 and it still didn't work. But sometimes your animations will be stuttering. It'll just look like it will just look like it was recorded at a low FPS. So as you can see, everything's good. That's my custom retextured R7 model, but you know, you probably won't have that because that's a different mod. But as you guys can see, we got everything working over here. So yeah, our demo perfectly works out fine, and yeah, we're ready to start editing. So earlier in the video, I had you install Reshade, and for Reshade, you just press the home key key. I hope you did the F7 thing. And sometimes you'll get a pop-up. It'll just give you an error about saving or some bullshit. If that happens, just click this and choose a new installation to save your preset. Sometimes your presets will load twice, but that's only if you have them installed twice, which I do because I'm a fucking dumbass. But nevertheless, we'll just put them over here. These are the main ones I use. Cinematic DOF, I'm not going to use for this tutorial. I wouldn't say it's hard to use. It's just a lot harder to set up. These are the main ones I use. Make sure these are on. RTGI, you probably don't need because it's laggy as hell. So what we're going to do now is, earlier in the video, I told you to bind it to a key. So as you can see, if I press that bind, we got Reshade on it, and it looks pretty sick. Now, sometimes when you have Reshade, it'll look weird. Like, I don't really know how to describe it. Basically, your ambient occlusion, or like your shadows and shit, your shading, it'll like move with the screen. And if that happens, that's because anti-aliasing is on. Or, which is probably what's happening for other stuff like the depth of field. But if that happens, make sure anti-aliasing is off. And over here on DX9, sometimes you'll need to select this over here. For this instance, I didn't need to select it because it already worked. But if that happens, just select this one. You might have more than one instance. If that happens, just go through them until you find one that works. Another thing you can do is edit global pre-processor definitions. I don't know why that took me so long to read. But when you edit these over here, sometimes your stuff will be upside down or reversed or whatever. And you could just add 0 or 1 to modify the settings. So you just want to play with this till you get whatever you want. So you get it to look normal, basically. So now that Reshade's on, the next thing I'm going to be doing is showing you how to record a clip. So for recording the clip, I guess I'll just make a really basic cinematic. To do that, we're just going to go over here. Your Reshade will blur the console. If that happens, just look at the ground or just toggle the effect. But what I like doing is I like usually doing CG FOV. You know, that just changes the field of view, so you get more of like a telephoto look. So to do this, we're just gonna press F2, go into third person, and we'll record a really basic cinematic. I'll just do a cinematic in one attempt. So press K on the keyboard, play a little bit, press K again over here, play a little more. Obviously, you can lower the timescale to like 0.5 or 0. Whatever. That's if you want to get more precise movement. I'm not really trying to do good cinematics. I'm just trying to do a tutorial. All right, so now that you got all your keyframes placed, the next thing you're going to want to do is press J on your keyboard, and this will basically restart the demo, and it'll start loading your cam path. So as you guys can see, we got our cam path over here ready to be played. Now, this is when you would do the recording part. So there's 2 ways or 3 ways to record. The first way to record is really simple. All you would do is do timescale 0.1. Now you can't really see it because of my reshade, but as you can see, we got timescale 0.1. This will just play it at 0.1 scale. Now you can just load up your favorite recorder. Most people use Dextory or Fraps or whatever, or you can use even OBS. Just make sure to do lossless most of the time. The file size will be massive, but trust me, it'll make editing a lot better of an experience. So yeah, use Fraps, Dextory, or OBS, or Bandicam even if you want. Just record the clip like this. You can always, of course, go slower, but sometimes it might bug out if you want. You could do like 0.06 or, you know, 0.01. Me personally, I do 0.01 because sometimes the animations glitch out. But as you can see, Cinemac's ready to be recorded. Now, sometimes you will drop frames on your recorder. That's kind of your recorder or CPU's fault or whatever. If that happens, you can just go back to a normal timescale of 1. What you can do is do CL Avidemo and then enter the frame rate you want to record at. Now, it will go by a lot slower, and I mean, not too slow, but it'll go by slower. So if we want 300 FPS, do 300, 600 if you want 600, 1200. I've even done 2400 before. But yeah, you just want to enter the FPS you record at. The thing with that is that the file size will be even bigger. But the good thing about it is you won't drop any frames unless you're doing 4K. If you're trying to do AVI demo or MVM streams at 4K, yeah, I've even heard of 1440p lagging, but I know for a fact 4K, it's pretty much unusable. Don't even try doing 4K. If you're recording at 4K using AVI demo or streams, it's probably not going to work. So for this instance, I have my game at 1080p, so we could just do CL AVI demo 600, and as soon as you do it, it's going to start playing back a lot slower. Even though we're at timescale 0.1, or not timescale 0.1, even though we're at a normal timescale of 1, it's still going to play slow, but that's because it's recording. So you just wait for it to finish recording. Once it's done, all you do is type CL AVI demo 0, and then that'll stop the recording. So as you can see, there's our cinematic. It's not really that good, but yeah, that's how you do cinematics with AVI demo. Now, the way I prefer doing it, which is going to take even about 3 times slower, is I like to do recording using merv streams, or sorry, not merv streams. That's CSGO. The way I do it is by using MVM streams. Now, for MVM streams, you're not going to want Reshade on at all, unless you're recording it separate. And if you're recording it separate, you don't need to use this command. You could just open up the GUI, and then it'll tell you, like, the keybinds for depth map and green screen. But if you want them synced up, which by default, they won't sync up because, you know, you got to record them separately. But if you want them to sync up, then use MVM streams. Now, for MVM streams, you're not going to want Reshade because the Reshade will show up on the DOF and green screen. But for MVM streams, all you do is type MVM_streams, and then it's the exact same as Avidemo, basically. So you could do MVM streams 300 for 300 FPS, 600 for 600 FPS, and yeah, you get the idea. So if we do MVM streams, it is gonna flash colors, so I don't know if anyone epileptic is watching, but if you're epileptic, I don't really know what to say because this is gonna flash. So let me enter it. And as you can see, it's going to be recording the green screen, the depth map, and the world layer all at once. And they're always going to be synced up, unless you're at like a higher res. But in that case, we're not at a higher res, so we'll just pretend we recorded it. So we'll do MVM stream 0. Now, it is green screen, so if I press F3, it'll go away. F3 is for green screen. I think F4? No, F5 is for depth. So yeah, that's basically how to record with Avidemo, MVM streams, or you can use your own recorder. But anyway, that's how to do that. You can, of course, always do frozen cinematics by pressing F4. So if you press F4, and by the way, don't press the spacebar, because if you press the spacebar, you're gonna lose your position. And you'll know you're in frozen cinematic mode when the little cam path is blue. So if we press it, as you can see, we got a frozen cinematic. You can change the speed of it by doing timescale commands. So if you want it to go slower, do 0.5. If you want it to go faster, do like 3, which, you know, I don't even know why you would want it to go fast unless you're recording a really long cinematic. So that's pretty much all you need to know for recording COD4. And doing POVs is the exact same way as doing cinematics. The only difference is you don't need to place cam paths. So that's pretty much all you need to know. This is a beginner's tutorial. Obviously, I can go in a lot more depth for everything. You know, go into detail about modding, making your own anims, all that good stuff. But honestly, that's probably going to be a tutorial for another day. There is another thing that I didn't go into detail on because I feel like it could be a whole video on its own. But that is IW3XO. It's hard to explain. It's like a console. It's like a console for COD4, basically. It's almost like BO2 tool. Basically, you have a lot of cool stuff you can do. You can do like wireframe, you know, there's like a whole GUI, a bunch of other cool stuff. But like I said, I'll probably leave that for another video. But nevertheless, I'll leave a link in the description down below if you want to check it out. There's a lot of cool features on it. But that's pretty much the tutorial, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I can't wait to see you guys getting creative with this stuff. Obviously, you can do so much with this. You can enable explosive bullets or EB, you know, hit crazy trick shots on these bots, you know, no clip out of the map, make some cool skyboxes, make some cool gloves, which I'll probably do in, you know, another video for texturizing. But nevertheless, guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you made any cool COD4 stuff or made any edits that you want me to see, feel free to join my Discord server down below. It's a cool place to hang out, make friends, learn new stuff, and we're always just vibing in there, so feel free to check it out. I'll leave everything that I talked about in this video in the description down below, and I'll leave the COD MVM Discord as well as Lucky's channel, the guy that made the IW3MVM tool, and of course I'll leave Jimzor stuff and Crummy stuff as well, and IW3XO. My editing pack is also in the description down below too, if you want to buy any of my project files or presets or any other cool stuff, so feel free to check that out as well. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, boys. Peace out.